Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where I showcase some of my favorite films on Blu-ray and DVD. And today I'm going to talk about my personal favorite horror movie franchise, maybe my favorite film franchise ever, certainly one of them, and my favorite horror movie character, and that would be Friday the 13th. As you can see, I'm rocking my custom Jason Voorhees hoodie, and I'm going to be talking about the Scream Factory limited edition box set that came out, I think, in 2020. It was not too long after COVID happened that we got this set, so we at least got something great out of 2020. I want to talk about this set because it's recently been announced by Scream Factory that it is going out of print. Their licensing deal only supposed to last for 5 years, and that's coming to an end. It is actually showing unavailable on their website now. It still is in stock as of the upload of this video on Amazon, and I'll put a link in the description for that. If you have any interest in getting this set, you better jump on it now, because it's going to do nothing but double, triple, maybe even quadruple in price, because that's what the Halloween set did after it went out of print some years ago. So I'm just going to quickly go through my thoughts on the set and maybe give a couple of thoughts on some of the individual films, because I mean, if I go in depth, we're going to be here, Christ almighty, we're going to be here for a week. So again, this is the box that it comes in. We get some beautiful artwork. When the set was released, you could get a limited edition poster with this artwork on it. I wasn't able to get that, unfortunately. You had to be one of the first 100 or so people to get the set. It was something like that, but I did manage to get the set, and I'm very happy with it. It's one of my favorites in my collection. And we'll start off with the one that started it all, the first film. This is what started this slasher craze of the 80s. There were slasher films before it, but this one was the one that really brought in the gore and the sort of the body count formula. It was directed by Sean Cunningham. Sean Cunningham went out and recruited the Grandmaster of Gore himself, Tom Savini, who was coming off of the still to this day, hugely influential zombie epic George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, which is another personal favorite of mine, and got him to do the special effects for this movie, and film history was made, and one of the longest running and most popular horror franchises was born. So this is the first film. I don't know if you call it a spoiler alert for a film that's 45 years old at this point, but Jason Voorhees is not the killer in the first film. It is his mother. Jason does do the killing starting in part 2. The hockey mask wasn't a part of the franchise at this point. Jason wore a potato sack on his head, which is quite popular actually among the fandom, the potato sack. I've seen some fans even prefer it over the hockey mask. Speaking of the hockey mask, it makes its debut in Part 3, Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. This is a fan favorite in the franchise. This is a lot of people's favorite film. It is one of my favorite films in the franchise, top 5 for sure. But again, the introduction of the hockey mask. Part 4, which in my opinion is the best film of the series. You get everything that's great about Friday the 13th in this film. Tom Savini returns to do the makeup effects. This was intended and originally to be Jason's final film, but you can't keep a good slasher down, obviously. Anytime that anything keeps making money, they're going to keep bringing it back, and that's what they did. So the series did continue, but this was originally intended to be Jason's final outing, and Jason is actually killed in the film. Next we have Part 5, which you either love it or hate it. There's a lot of people in the fandom that love it and a lot of people that hate it. Jason is not the killer in this film. It is a copycat killer. Jason does appear in the film through dream sequences and hallucinations, and they are the copycat killer and the real Jason are differentiated by the fact that the copycat killer has these blue streaks on his hockey mask. Jason has the red, so that's how you can tell who's who in the film. But Jason doesn't kill anybody. He's only seen briefly through dream sequences and hallucinations. So this is part 5. I actually like part 5. I think it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like the Halloween 3 of the franchise, if you know what I mean. If you've seen Halloween 3, you know what I'm talking about. So that was part 5. Then we get to my personal favorite film of the franchise, which is part 6. I mean, I love that cover. Jason returns from the grave, and he actually there's actually a lot of controversy in this film about what is Jason. Is he a zombie? Is he a revenant? Is he this or that? You know, it's not really sort of explained until later in later years, but Jason does actually return from the grave in this film as a super undead killing machine. He's even more brutal and more deadly than he ever was before. This is like I said, this is my favorite film of the franchise. The director, Tom McLaughlin, has said that if you turn the color off and watch this film in black and white, it can totally be viewed as a film that was made during the black and white era. And I've done that, and yes, it does work as a black and white film. This is actually one of the less gory films of the franchise. There's not really a lot of gore in this one, and but it is a fan favorite, and it is my personal favorite. So this film has a lot of references and Easter eggs to the old classic Universal horror films. That's another thing I really loved about this. So that's part 6. Part 7 is another one of my favorites. This has my favorite look of Jason. This was the start of Kane Hodder playing Jason, who is my personal favorite actor to play Jason. Kane, it really sets himself apart from the other guys who played the part in his mannerisms and just his movements and the turning of the head and shoulders, the deep breaths. You know when Kane Hodder is playing the character, and this was his first film doing that. This is a sort of a Jason versus Carrie kind of film. If you've seen the classic film from the 80s, Carrie, which is a story by Stephen King. It's a girl who has telekinetic powers, and that's what we get in this film. It's the first time that a character actually kind of can go blow for blow with Jason and give him a run for his money. So it's a lot of fun. And next we have part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Again, Kane Hodder returns to play Jason in this. It's kind of misleading. The original intent was for this film to mostly take place in Manhattan. The budget would not, or in New York, the budget wouldn't allow for it. So it mostly takes place on a ship, and a lot of the city shots were actually done in Vancouver. The only shots that were done in New York, from what I can remember, were the shots that were done at night in downtown Manhattan when Jason comes out of the sewers. That was actually done in downtown Manhattan. So that was the last. Part 8 is the last film done by Paramount Studios. After that, Jason would go on I think a 5-year hiatus, and Paramount would sell the character's rights to New Line, which is the studio that, of course, put out the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And New Line acquired the rights to the character, and they released Jason Goes to Hell, I think in 1993. The reason that this film is called Jason Goes to Hell and not Friday the 13th Part 9 is because they did not buy the rights to the Friday the 13th title. They only bought the rights to Jason, and I always wondered that for years, like why did the films stop being numbered? Why did they stop being called Friday the 13th? Well, it's because they didn't have the rights. This film is quite different from the first 8 films. It's a big departure from what we've seen. Really plays with the mythology of Jason. I'm going to, again, spoiler alerts for a film that was made in 1993. Jason is heavily implied to be a product of the Necronomicon. Yes, the Necronomicon from Evil Dead fame. Sam Raimi, who was the the god of the Evil Dead universe, basically gave the actual book, the prop, to the director of this film to be used on set. And due to rights issues, of course, he couldn't say that Jason was a deadite or anything like that, but he has come out in recent years and said, yes, Jason is a product of the Necronomicon. So he's sort of a super deadite or some other force from that dimension that the deadites come from. But anyway, I actually like this movie. It gets a lot of hate from the fandom. There's some fans that love it, some fans that hate it. I really like it. I like how different it is. Next we have Jason X, which was the last film to feature Kane Hodder as Jason. He played the character a total of 4 times. This was another big departure for the series. It's Jason in space. That's where horror franchises go to die, right? A lot of horror franchises took their characters to space, and Friday the 13th did as well. This film has one of my favorite looks or appearances or whatever you want to call it of Jason, which is Uber Jason. Right there he is on the poster. It really has a really cool poster. They used the poster for the cover of the Blu-ray. And Jason, Uber Jason, is basically Jason meets the Terminator. You know, he's Jason, or Jason becomes the Terminator. But I really liked that particular version of Jason. A lot of people hate on this film. It's not great cinema, guys. The Friday the 13th series, you know, it's not Gone with the Wind. You know, you're watching a horror franchise where a slasher kills people, usually at a camp. It's not great cinema, so it's supposed to be fun, popcorn type movies. But again, this film does get a lot of hate. I personally like it. I think it's a lot of fun. Next, we have a movie that I really have a sort of a love-hate relationship with. I love the film in that I waited on it for many, many years. I do like the film for what it is. It brings together 2 of the most iconic, greatest horror characters of all time in a battle for the ages. Lots of fun, lots of great action, lots of everything that you like about both characters you get in this film. Freddy vs. Jason. Here's the part that I really don't like about it, and it's big. It's a big one for me. Kane Hodder was supposed to have been Jason in this film. He lobbied for the part for many, many years. He kept the character in the spotlight for years. When they weren't doing any films, he was going to fan conventions and keeping the Friday the 13th name out there. He was the torchbearer for the series, and he was supposed to play Jason in this, and at the last minute was replaced. And there are many, many stories as to who was to blame, why he was replaced, etc., etc. This film would have been so much better with Kane in it. That was the matchup that everybody wanted to see. Everybody wanted to see Kane Hodder versus Robert Englund as Freddy, and unfortunately, we didn't get that. We still got a solid versus film out of this. It's like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's very comic booky, very WWE style of action. But I just really, every time I watch this film, I just think, God, it should have been Kane. It should have been Kane. But that was Freddy vs. Jason. And next we get to the last film in the series so far. There are rumors of a new film that might be coming up. I just want to make quick mention of something. There are a lot of great fan-made horror Friday the 13th films that are on YouTube. Never Hike Alone is one of them. Some of the actors actually from the series have appeared in some of these fan-made films. Some of them are actually, you watch them and they're honestly on par with some of the older films. I mean, they're really well made. I highly recommend checking out. You can Google Friday the 13th fan-made films, and I'm sure a list of some of the best will come up. Never Hike Alone is one of the big ones, so I highly recommend checking that one out. But next we get to the last film so far in the series, and man, it hasn't been a long time. 16 years ago this movie came out. It is the Friday the 13th reboot from 2009. Excuse me. This movie is not a remake per se. It's more of a reboot of the series, or because it combines elements from the first 4 films, the original films, as like the 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street film was a straight up remake of the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie. This one combines elements from several films. We get a brand new actor playing Jason, a really brutal version of Jason. I really enjoyed this particular version. It was done by a stuntman named Derek Mears. He does an excellent job playing Jason. I really like this one. It's a lot of fun. That brings us to the last Blu-ray in the set, which is straight up bonus materials. You get 2 discs of bonus materials, so there's quite a lot. Just kind of show that real quick. You can pause that and read that if I can get it into focus. Several documentaries, interviews, things like that. And the last thing that was included with the set is this booklet. And we get, there's just a lot of stills and information on the series. There's Crazy Ralph. If you don't know who Crazy Ralph is, check out the first film. Yeah, again, it's just full of stills and basic information. There's my favorite look of Jason from Part 7, as I was talking about earlier. Kane's first appearance as Jason. So that concludes everything that's in the box that you get in the this box set. One thing that would have been really nice to have included, and you can buy it separate, and I highly recommend you check it out if you are a fan of Friday the 13th, is the Friday the 13th documentary, Crystal Lake Memories. It's a very in-depth documentary that goes film by film. It's for, if you are a hardcore fan of the series, you got to check it out. It covers each film in depth with interviews of the cast, crew. I mean, they cover everything. There's also a book called Crystal Lake Memories that I highly recommend you check out. I have it on my bookshelf. It's a very large coffee table sized book, that Crystal Lake Memories, the documentary. It kind of go hand in hand. There's a lot of the same information. So that concludes my thoughts on this particular Blu-ray set. If you are, like I said in the beginning, if you are interested in getting this, you better get it soon, because it's getting ready to go out of print. It's already unavailable in a lot of places. There's been several releases of these films over the years. I remember way back in the day, we got the DVD set called, I think it was called From Crystal Lake to Manhattan, or it was just the first 8 films put out by Paramount. I still have that DVD set, and for a long time, that was the best box set you could get. And the first 8 films that were owned by Paramount still can be bought today in sort of bargain bin style releases. Before this set came out, we got the it was a complete collection that was put out in this. It's usually referred to as the 10 set. It came out in a metal 10 metal box set with all the discs included in this book style pack. I had that set, and when this one was announced and came available, I sold that set to get the money for this set, because this set is just so much more superior. Arrow Video has in recent years released individual releases of the films on 4K. I don't believe they've released every film in the series. I believe it. I know that they released Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X on 4K. I haven't been keeping up with those very much, but I do know they released quite a couple of them at least. But this right here, as of the upload of this video, is still the best way to get all these films. Still the best release of all these films. unless you just have to have 4K. If you have to have 4K, then yeah, you probably want to hold out for something more. I'm sure after Scream Factory loses the rights to these films, another company will pick them up and release them, and we might even get a nicer set. But this, for me, as of right now, is the ultimate way of collecting these movies. So that's my thoughts on this set, and my very brief thoughts on the series. I can't go in depth because we have so much. We would have so much to go through. But if you're interested, definitely check it out. I'll put the link in the description for the Amazon link. It is still available as of right now. And I thank you for watching. And check out my other videos. And there will be more to come in the future. Cheers, guys.